Australia, hello world. Jamie here, the Crypto Koala. Now guys, I've got Brad Mattson. He's from Peeratlas, which is now NeoHealth. It's great to talk to him again. I've talked to him in the past, and it's a real privilege to have a chat with him. So mate, I understand you're in Belgium at the moment. It looks like an interesting location where you are. Whereabouts are you?
So I'm just west of Brussels, and I'm actually staying in a windmill. This is like a restaurant hotel that I'm staying in, and our partner iscientia owns this hotel. And so yeah, it looks a little bit like a wine cellar. There's a lot of wine here. I've noticed that there's a few things that they do in Belgium really well. Number one is that they have excellent coffee machines here.
Oh, awesome.
So it's like it's surprising. I thought that I had seen everything coffee has to offer in the U.S., but no, the coffee machines here are amazing. The other thing is the mussels are amazing.
Oh, really?
I gotta admit, I've become a little bit of a mussel addict in the past couple of weeks. And when I'm not thinking about this project, I'm usually thinking about mussels and where I can find more great Belgian mussel. And I don't know, I got this quote, and I don't know if you guys can see this. If you don't know where Belgium is, this is like this is Africa right here, and Belgium is about right here.
Awesome. I can admit, all I know Belgium for is chocolate, and they do good beer, and that's about it.
You know what's interesting? In Belgium, the other thing I just tried here is something called it's like a nasal chocolate.
Wow.
It's like you put this stuff in a device, and you like click the device, and you inhale this chocolate.
Whoa.
And I don't know if you ever knew that existed. I didn't know it existed.
The image of looking holding up a $20 note and sniffing some chocolate, you know, like it's like experience chocolate that way.
Yeah, people look at you funny because they don't know what you're doing.
Very interesting. Well, mate, you sound like you're having a great time there with your new partner.
Yeah.
So, mate, so people who haven't heard of Peeratlas, haven't heard of NeoHealth, tell us briefly what it is.
All right, so I'll try and keep it short. I originally started working on Peeratlas in 2011 with the intention of creating a completely free medical encyclopedia, a very high quality medical encyclopedia to compete with the large publishing companies that have the market cornered. And the idea was that we were going to create this encyclopedia with the goal of creating guidelines and algorithms that could be integrated into electronic medical record systems. And then we would collect outcome data on patients that were treated according to the algorithms and the guidelines. And we could determine which treatments were working for which types of patients, and also to prove or disprove the claims of pharmaceutical companies who have a lot of influence on medical literature in general. So they can sort of force their drugs into the guidelines by offering the people who write the guidelines a certain amount of money. And that's not always true. Some of the drugs work, but oftentimes I think what happens is they will remarket a drug under a different name, which is almost exactly the same molecule. And they will fund their own clinical trials to try and prove that their drug is better than drugs that have already existed. And I can't tell you that that's always true. And it kind of drives up the cost of medicine. So that was sort of the inspiration for me to start the project in 2011. And then what happened was I was training for medicine. I was training to be a radiologist. And it took a long time for things to progress during that time because training for medicine is kind of hard. It's a lot of work. There's many others that you spend each day at the hospital. and working on any type of a project outside of the hospital is extremely difficult. So things moved kind of slow for 4 years, but then what happened was last year, I became very interested in cryptocurrency. Even before that, 2016 was when I first invested. And last year, I thought that there was a pretty good chance that we would be able to launch Peeratlas on blockchain. And I sort of felt like blockchain was the future. I became like a true believer in blockchain and felt like it was clearly going to be the future. It's almost like the next coming of the internet. And I wanted to launch the platform on, or I wanted to launch Peeratlas on what will be the platform of the future. So then we got started writing the white paper last April or May. And around that time, I moved all of my crypto investments into AMP shares because I had read that AMP shares had the best community. And I didn't want to launch our project on Ethereum because Ethereum already had like 1,000 projects going. So I wanted it to be on something that was a little bit different and possibly like a blockchain that vetted their projects. And this is when we contacted Daha from AMP shares. Later that summer, it rebranded to Neo, and it started attracting a lot of attention from these other different projects. And now I don't even know how many projects are on Neo right now, at least 30. And what happened was, for us, the trouble that we ran into with Peeratlas was in January, the SEC said that they were going to release their stance on cryptocurrency, security tokens, and utility tokens. And so on February 5th, they did. And they basically said that there's no such thing as a utility token in their opinion. They thought that everything that existed was a security token. And this is what I think eventually led to the crash of the markets. It was I mean, it was clearly a bubble anyways, but this was the trigger for the crash. And so we had to delay our token sale, which was originally going to happen in January or February. But now if we launched our token sale, we'd be going directly against what the SEC was telling us not to do. If we launched our token, we were doing exactly what they just told us not to do. So we couldn't do it anymore. And so we actually delayed it until May while we were looking for a different country to launch from, like Switzerland, Gibraltar, Malta. We eventually chose Malta. And now the company, NeoHealth, is registered in Malta. And the good thing about all this is we got our smart contract done for the token sale. Everything's good to go from a technical perspective. But the one thing I learned last year is that marketing is a little bit of a waste of your time. That is one valuable lesson that I learned from this whole thing. And you're much better off just working on your project. And then the marketing will almost take care of itself once you have a real product. So what we've done is we've created, we've begun creation of an EMR, an electronic medical record. For those who don't know, it's like every time you go to a hospital or a clinic, any of your patient data will get entered into an electronic medical record. And there are like 1,000 EMRs in the world. And so everyone wants to know what's different about your EMR, like how your EMR is going to solve anything that previous EMRs haven't already solved. So there's a couple of things. Number one is it will be the first blockchain-based electronic medical record. Number two is it will have, this is the biggest thing, it will have the world's best integrated clinical decision support, which is offered from iscientia. And once you see the scale of the product that they're operating in multiple European countries, I think everyone's going to be pretty impressed because this is very high level stuff. So they cooperate directly with the governments. All of the information is classified according to specific classification systems for each government. All of the evidence-based guidelines they offer are government validated. So it's like totally legit stuff. This was why I couldn't turn down the partnership with iscientia when they asked us to partner. And that's another reason that the token sale was further delayed. But I think anyone who supports our project will appreciate that I did that eventually, because I could tell that they had like endorsements from the most well-respected medical journals, the most well-respected medical libraries. They've been doing this for like 20 years, and it's hard to create like the infrastructure that they have created in less than 10 years. So if I had to do this myself, if I would have launched Peeratlas, I would have had to have partnerships with these medical journals and these medical libraries. And that was the biggest thing I was worried about. And so that's why when the partnership was offered to me, I couldn't really refuse it. Now our goal is to have an alpha version of the EMR with integrated clinical decision support by the end of the year. And so we expect to be able to show the community like a working product by the end of the year, probably like December. And I see no reason to launch a token sale before we have a working product. I mean, to me, it's a waste of time to do something like that. So that's what I've been trying to convince the community. I've been trying to keep everybody calm while we develop this, and hopefully it's working. I think we actually have one of the, our community, our NeoHealth community is not huge right now. It's only around 2,000 members, but it's a very, I really like the attitude of the community. They don't ask too many questions. They're like sort of giving us the time to work on this. And then when the time is right, we'll get around to marketing. I mean, well, if we need to get our numbers up on Telegram and things like that, we will. But right now, we're just purely focusing on the project. We got a white paper that's coming out too in a couple of weeks. So everything's moving along nicely. And what I wanted to do is put out a bi-weekly newsletter to keep people updated on our progress. And I will do that. We put out our first newsletter already. And I'll have a second newsletter coming out within a couple of days. So that's the whole story.
Brad, tell you what, you've answered pretty much, as you were going along, you've been answering all the questions I was going to ask you, mate. You just, you was on fire. It's really good to think that you're going to have a working product. You're looking at having a working product before you have your ICO. You could have had your ICO months ago, like you said. And it does make sense you moving away over to Europe with your partnership, and to sort of, and I understand you went through that period of time and you, with the uncertainty with SEC, and it seemed like that with other ICOs as well. And so it's,
I'm actually really,
that sort of helped you make you decide as well. And you had presented to you the partnership. So both of them is sort of helps you make your decision easier to go over Belgium with your team and to work on your project more.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of thankful that the token sale didn't work out in January, because I can't tell you how stressed I would have been trying to push this project out, to actually build a platform and have the credibility that that's necessary to make it in the medical business. The problem with most medical projects, I feel like, is that they have great ideas. Everyone's got great ideas, and most of them, it seems, the blockchain projects are focusing on patient empowerment. They're focusing on patients controlling their own data, which I agree with. And that's clearly the way things are moving in medicine. But I feel like the one thing a lot of them are lacking from a medical professional's perspective is credibility from the well-respected journals and the well-respected organizations, the old school things that have already existed in medicine, which happen to control a lot of the business still. So that is one of the first things I noticed about our partner, is that they had access to like the best digital health libraries in the world. They have everything that they have is legit. And for me to do that myself, if I was trying to build the Peeratlas platform from scratch, it would have taken me years to actually develop these connections. And I would have been stressed. We all would have been stressed. And so right now things are exactly where they should be, in my opinion. And where everyone's sort of like, I personally have stopped looking at the crypto markets altogether. I gave up on that a couple months ago. And so they have no effect on me emotionally anymore. I just continue to work on the project, and whenever we're ready to launch it, we'll launch it. But yeah, at the time in January, I mean, you could launch any project, and you would have probably raised the money that you needed to fund it, at least for a couple of years. But we've been thankful to actually have a few investors that have funded our project for at least the next year. So I don't want to delay the token sale too far. The community has been waiting for a long time. And we also did an airdrop. We have like a small bounty program that we have to reward those people. So I want to get the token sale done with soon. But by soon, I mean like the end of the year, or possibly even Q1 of next year. And it's going to be worth everyone's time, because if we release the token now, it wouldn't be worth anything anyway. So people are going to really appreciate that we have a working product when we release it the next time.
Oh, definitely. So, yeah, it's good that you're really taking your time, and you really want to have this up and running before you release it. It does make sense,
Yeah.
And being on the Neo blockchain and with your new partner, what's going to be your first step? So once you've launched, what you're going to look at doing first of all with your EMR, and
so
with the project, where you're looking at going, like from the next step and then long term?
So the next step would be to launch the project in countries with less well-established medical systems. So we actually spoke with government officials and officials from the Health Ministry of Nigeria as a site that we could launch our EMR. And it's in these countries, we can have the largest impact because they actually still have paper records. So when you go see the doctor, they write it down on a sheet of paper and they stick it in a file cabinet somewhere. And so we're trying to, I mean, obviously that can't last forever. Like, I have a hard time believing they'll still be writing things on a sheet of paper in like 20 years in Nigeria. So somebody's going to have to enter that market at some point. And I think that we'll probably almost use these places as test sites. China is another place that I want to launch the project, and possibly India as well, before we move into Europe, and lastly, probably the United States. The United States is going to be the hardest system to enter.
It really makes sense. It really makes sense, Brad, you're doing that, because I guess the market's quite saturated in the US, and it sounds like there's a lot of competition there, and it's already quite developed, where you're targeting countries that are still developing and really could benefit from that blockchain technology, and what you're presenting sounds like a really good idea.
Because don't you feel like, this is how I feel. I feel like the countries such as China, say they're keeping paper records there, and you introduce this product, and there's not a ton of regulations, there's not a lot of patient privacy laws. I feel like you can bring those places, because there's no barriers to entry, you can bring them from like 20 years behind the times to 10 years ahead of the times in a relatively short amount of time, because they can adapt to new technology quicker than a place that has been using the same type of system like the United States for the last 20 years.
Definitely. So, yeah, I can see like places like Venezuela and Zimbabwe, they would grab this and run, where like, they love cryptocurrency, and especially developing countries, even South America, there's a lot of countries there that still using paper-based medical records, as you know, and this sort of program in them countries, it could massively propel them forward. Hey.
Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah, that's and then the thing is, once you prove that you have a great product, and I mean, the thing is, we're not cutting corners on the EMR. We're not just trying to build an EMR like every other EMR that has already existed. We're trying to make this, the interface, like very user-friendly, customizable from a doctor's perspective and a nurse's perspective. Our competition from other EMRs with claiming to have integrated clinical decision support, it's really not very good. It's almost just like a search bar that links you to a digital health library. But what we're going to have is sorry, there's just I'm downstairs and there's people that they're touring the building.
Yeah.
But our EMR will have like world-class clinical decision support. So we'll have the exact algorithm for each country, government validated, listed right through the EMR, and it will help doctors know what medications a patient is taking that are going to interact with other medications. It will help doctors know which medications are contraindicated for a chronic disease, such as like chronic kidney disease. We expect this to actually even save governments money, because we can help guide physicians to prescribe the right medications for the right patients, the most cost-effective medications as well. So I think that will have a lot more to offer than any existing EMR once we're finally done.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, like
I can tell you, it's not easy. We're working pretty hard over here.
Yeah, I guess this kind of thing can be done overnight. Like over here, we've got Medicare, and I guess in the UK it's NHS. Over in America, it's private hospitals. So it's sort of like, if I got this right, say like developing countries, if you got in with a government department that was looking after the hospitals, if you tapped into a government-run hospitals, they could utilize this system to make them catch up, modernize.
Yeah, no, it's funny too, like healthcare is sort of notorious for being a difficult industry to enter. And you have to work very closely with the governments. So that's exactly what we're doing. Any country, like today we're meeting government officials from Cameroon. So we set up meetings with all these different countries because we sort of know that to even introduce our project there, we have to be on good terms with any government.
Yeah.
So that's like the first hurdle you have to get over. And it's actually not that difficult, and they're pretty welcoming to the project. It takes some money to set up the company in each of these places, but that's kind of about it. If you have something to offer them and you can help their medical system, they're very open to it. So
yeah,
it's and I think the more I think about it, the more it makes sense to try and launch in the less well-established countries. So
yeah, definitely. So just with like the actual token, so before was the Atlas token, the Peeratlas, the Atlas token. So what is it called now?
So we don't actually want to, I'll just say it's called the NeoHealth token for now.
Yeah.
Because the problem is when you release the name of the token, then somebody goes out and they register.
Oh yeah, so it's sort of it's something that I can understand. You know what
I'm saying?
Don't want anyone to take the name.
They actually run Telegram scams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Once you release your token name, and then they try and like they try and scam people.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to avoid.
So with the actual token, how does it hold value?
NHT is already taken.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not going to be NHT. I know that much.
Maybe that could be a competition. I don't know. Maybe we could get on the NeoHealth Telegram.
Exactly.
Do a competition.
Exactly.
Token.
Right. No, that's cool with me. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. So what we'll do is we'll have the competition like 2 days before we actually mint the token, and then we'll mint the token with the winner of the competition, and then I'll throw in like a half of a Bitcoin for the winner or something.
Well, yeah, that'll be a good sweetener. That'll be really
That's
good.
a pretty good award.
I'd have to give a go at that. So with, say, the actual token itself, Brad, how is it used? Like, how does it hold its value?
So, number one, in the developing countries, they don't necessarily have health insurance like the way we think about health insurance. So a lot of it is just pay for service. The patient will pay the doctor directly. So we would have a fiat to crypto, a fiat to NeoHealth token gateway directly built into the EMR. So a patient would actually pay their doctor. In the beginning, obviously, nobody's going to know anything about blockchain, right? These patients aren't going to know the first thing about blockchain, nor will they have the desire to learn anything about it. So, so what you have to do is you have to like convince them to use this token by first letting them pay a doctor with fiat. So they'll pay in fiat. The gateway will convert it directly to NeoHealth tokens, and they get like a discount on their service if they're paying their doctor in NeoHealth tokens. And the trick is to get people to actually hold these tokens, to get doctors to hold them, to get investors to hold them, and to get patients to hold them. So you want everybody holding these tokens. And what's tricky is that you can't really offer dividends because it makes your token a security token.
Okay, yeah.
So what you have to do, and I think this is our solution, we have a rewards pool. So out of every transaction that takes place through the EMR, a very small percentage goes into a rewards pool. And for like 1 day every month, anyone who's holding the token can send their tokens to a provided public key. And through a smart contract, it processes what percentage of tokens that person sent relative to everyone else who sent tokens that day. And they get returned that exact percentage. So they earn more tokens that way because it's a voluntary mechanism. And I think that gets you around the security token problem. And we can remain a utility token. So we'll have a rewards pool so people can basically earn dividends, although not like the classic way where you just hold it and automatically get dividends every month.
Yeah.
The token can be, so long-term, the EMR is most valuable as a data collection machine. And when you have a lot of data on thousands and thousands of patients, this becomes extremely valuable to researchers and pharmaceutical companies. And we want to offer patients a way to sell their data to researchers and pharmaceutical companies so they get rewarded in these NeoHealth tokens for doing that. The the NeoHealth Foundation also takes a certain cut from the pharmaceutical companies and the researchers for offering the data that was collected through our EMR. We would like to eventually store as much of this patient information as we can on blockchain. It requires a huge amount of data to do this. So we're not going to be able to store all of it, but we'll be able to store a lot of it on blockchain. And as long as we remove the patient identifiers, I think that we'll probably be allowed to do that. And the nice thing is that once the data is on blockchain, you can't manipulate the data anymore. And so any medication that a doctor has prescribed is permanently stored on the blockchain. Everything down to like the patient's vital signs, the patient's labs, all that stuff you can probably store on the blockchain. You just have to remove the identifiers from it. And we're still trying to make sure that, and it's different from one country to the next, we're still trying to work out the details on the patient security side of things. But that's a complicated thing, and it's probably not worth explaining in this video.
Yeah, sure.
But people should know that that's something that is sort of a top priority for us, because once that stuff is out there, it's out there. It's never coming back. Once it's on the blockchain, you can't like retract this. So that's something that we have to be kind of careful of in the early stages of development, that we do that part right. But so the NeoHealth token, I suspect that our token metrics will be similar to Peeratlas, where about 70% will be sold in the token sale, 30% will be retained by the NeoHealth Foundation, unlocked at certain intervals. And another use for the token is going to be third parties. So we're going to offer third parties access to our API, because a blockchain is about community, right? So your product is never finished. People can always improve on your product, especially third parties that have great ideas. So they can stake, like, say, a certain number of tokens to deploy their third party product on our EMR, and their third party product can both access the data, say for like research purposes, or it can create patient data. Say, for example, that like a year from now, smartwatches check your blood pressure. A lot of the patient data that exists does not happen in the hospitals. That's only like the 3 or 4 days when you're there. If you can continuously monitor patient data outside of the hospital, and then add that to the patient's record the next time they go back, then you have a record where a lot of the gaps are filled in. So that's an example of like a third-party program that somebody could make. Something that would interface like data collected from a smartwatch or a phone, and have that added to the patient's existing record.
That's pretty smart. Yeah, having it integrated in, having a private, confidential, using the blockchain technology to deliver a great product.
So I'm very excited about the product in terms of how specific our direction is right now. We have 3 full-time developers that are working on the EMR right now. And we put these guys on it full-time about a month and a half ago. And there's sort of like so much more clarity to our product than there was with Peeratlas. So it's we have a very specific roadmap that we have to meet. And the thing, I'm most thankful that we have these 3 developers. These 3 developers are going to make our project. And it took me a long time to find them. I found them through our community.
That's not, I just got to give these guys a quick shout out, because I've knew these guys since the beginning of Peeratlas.
Yeah.
And one of them is called, is it Melicio? Help me
well,
out.
Melicio has been amazing, because he's been managing our community for the most part.
Yeah, and there's a couple other ones on there as well, and they're a good part.
Vivek is like kind of the star of the project, because he is sort of the lead developer, and the connections he has are amazing. So the other developers that he knows, I mean, he can find somebody to do everything. So I'm very thankful that I was able to, when I launched Peeratlas, he was one of the first people there. He just came into the community, and he was sort of acted as an advisor for a long time, but now he's the lead developer, and he manages the project overall, and he hires developers with specific talents to contribute to like the EMR. So, and also Arjun. Arjun is another guy.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy as well.
He is. Yeah, no, Arjun, and he's actually coming to Belgium soon.
Oh, really? Oh, you bet you'd be looking forward to that.
Yeah. So the next goal, because we sort of have the product underway, the next goal is to put up the new ICO page, which Arjun is helping us with. And around the time that that's done, the new final version of the white paper will be released.
Which you're looking at, which you're saying to be about Q4, hopefully.
Yeah, well, pretty early, probably around October.
Okay.
So, and then you know, Neo is going to have these conferences. They'll have like a European tour, and they'll have like a US tour, and we'll be in good position to go on this tour then and present our project, because now we have like a alpha version of a product, and we have.
Oh yeah, that'd be brilliant. Just going around Europe.
Yeah.
Going over, hopefully going over to Asia, hopefully Australia.
Yeah.
Going over back over to the US, maybe San Francisco.
Yeah.
That'd be, and then you can go around and tour and show off your work and product.
Right. That's the dream, right? That's the dream. You have
awesome.
You're promoting a product. You're promoting a product that actually works.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's very good. How's that coffee going for you?
Oh, it's good coffee. No, like in addition to the machine, I think they also have good beans.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, mate, I'd like to talk a little bit about what's going on in the current market and what your thoughts on with the ETF at the moment. Now, I've been watching it very closely, and on Wednesday found out that a few of them got denied and then got overturned to review.
Yeah.
Seems to me really bullish. And some of them being, and I'm just going to look over, because I've got the names, like the Pro Shares, Direction, and the Granite one. Now, them guys, in a whole bunch of them, were the ones that got rejected in review. But what's your thoughts on that? Do you think that this big one in the end of September is going to be the winner?
I mean, I have a hard time believing that the government, the SEC is like ready to approve one of these. I'd be surprised if they approved one of them. But eventually they will. It's just, you know, the way the SEC is. I mean, it's like everything is very slow. They don't really have that much incentive to approve it like tomorrow, I don't think. You know, unless one of them or two of them invested their life savings into Bitcoin, and they're ready to like, you know, send Bitcoin through the roof. So I don't think the SEC really has much desire to approve one of these things like tomorrow, but it's obviously going to happen eventually, in my opinion.
Yeah, I reckon so. I mean, I've got hopes for that CBOE one. That's the 30th of September. But the other one I didn't really have much faith in. But
yeah, like I saw, I actually read the SEC's report on the ProShares one, and I don't know how much like effect this is going to have. I thought it would have more effect on the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. Like I thought it would have more of a negative effect when they get declined. But doesn't appear to be the case.
Yeah, it's really surprising. I thought that as well. Like from Wednesday, like a couple of days ago, seeing that, and I was ready. I had the buy orders in, and I was ready. And I thought this market's just gonna massively dip after this.
Right.
And it really caught me off guard. It's like no one can really predict it, you know.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's funny. So I don't really know. But that's the fun of the markets, you know. That's why they're still fun. But I suspect that like it to me, I think that this is kind of early for one of these ETF things to be approved. But like early next year, I guess I could see one of them being approved.
Yeah, I mean, each time one gets denied and one gets they keep on learning. They've got to be like the CBRE one in the past. I think they've gone to a second. They'd be like, what do you guys need for you guys to be happy? They're going to go away. They're just going to keep on refining until they say, we've done everything you've asked.
So, what it does do,
So, Brad?
I mean, what it does do is it puts the pressure on the SEC to actually consider all. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Brad. No, you're all good, mate.
Okay.
Yeah.
What all of these applications, ETF applications, do though is they like you were saying, they put the pressure on the SEC to actually learn something about this. Nothing happens until it needs to, right? So they have to. They're sort of required to give a new reason every time one of them gets declined, and then gradually people are going to be able to do things that comply with what the SEC wants, and then finally one of them will get approved. But that'll be a big day in crypto history.
Just look at the market at the moment, seeing that it has dropped the way it is, and seeing that one did get approved, and say this one did get approved at the end of September. The prices are so good at the moment.
Yeah.
It's just going to.
Oh yeah.
Perfect buying for like these big investors, these big big players in Wall Street to know. So okay, let's get into the market, and I think if it does get approved, it will shoot up. But it's we'll have to wait and see. No one can really truly say, hey.
Right. So yeah, but I don't know. Crypto's fun. Who knows how long the markets will be down for? But for our project, it seems to almost be preferable the way it is right now, because it frees us up so much time to actually work on the project and not worry about the markets. You know, it's like like I said, I haven't thought about the markets in 2 or 3 months.
That's brilliant.
I check the prices. I check the prices once in a while. I read some news once in a while, and mostly I spend my time working on the project.
That's good. Yeah, not waking up each morning and checking, Cointelegraph and CoinMarketCap. Yeah, it's sort of good to try and focus on your project in your life, and just looking at plants now and again,
Right. But like soon enough, it'll get exciting again. Soon enough.
Oh, definitely. It's all fun, hey?
It'll be fun. Yeah. But the time off to work on the project has been nice.
Yeah, definitely. It sort of seemed like a lot more relaxing when we go there. It's kind of like a good environment to work in, to work on your project in Belgium. You're away from the US and you're sort of in that sort of
I'm away from my wife and my kids too.
Oh really? Are they not over there with you?
No. So my wife actually let me come over here for 2 months by myself, which is pretty impressive, right?
That's that's a sacrifice in itself to commit to the project, being away from your family, put all your efforts into it.
Yeah, no, I didn't actually think she was going to let me do that, but it's been worth it. We're making a lot of progress, and in fact, the rate that we're making progress keeps increasing. So I understand my partner better since I moved here, iscientia. They understand our project better, and we're making seriously good progress like the last couple of weeks.
Okay, brilliant, Brad. Well, it's been really good talking to you, mate. And I'd just like to say to the viewers, you go on that Telegram group. If you're looking at you're looking to get involved with NeoHealth, join that Telegram group, guys. I'll put the links down below. They'll be sure to keep you updated when that ICO is, when they're going to release a white paper, all them good things. So yeah, be sure to follow them on Twitter and all that good stuff. Of course, do your own research, read my disclaimer, and have a brilliant time in Belgium. Brad?
Yeah, I'm gonna go see if I can find some more mussels.
It sounds good. It sounds really yummy.
The mussels are good here.
Yeah.
You gotta try them.
Yeah, I will. I will one day when I go back. When I go to the UK, I'll
Yeah.
try and pop over to Belgium for a weekend and snort some chocolate and try some mussels out. And
I
have
can
some
get you.
beer as
I
well,
can get
some
you a
Belgian
link.
beer. I just
I'll
can't,
get you a
I can't
link in the
imagine it.
description. I'll get you a link for something called a chocolate shooter. You can put it in your description. People can buy it online. It's made right here in Belgium.
That's awesome. All right, mate. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, Brad, and thanks again. I'll catch you later, mate.
Yep, thanks.
Bye.